Bitch, me too. I love Ape Escape. If we got a new Ape Escape, ooh, it's a wrap. Was Bayonetta Origins worth the $60 in your opinion? Honestly, TLDR, yes. The only thing that wasn't worth it was the ending. Everything else definitely worth the $60. The gameplay, the story, for the most part, I kind of liked seeing the evolution. The gameplay, all the outfits, all the quality of life improvements I really liked. Just the ending was shit. Like, I would literally pay the $60 for Bayonetta for that boss fight with Beelzebub and just replay it and replay it and replay it. The music is lit, yes. Ooh, new Little Big Planet would be cute. Do you guys like the bow tie I did to like dress it up? I did the bow tie as like a little tongue-in-cheek kind of thing. Like award show, you know, the vibes. This also has straps on it, but I didn't like it with the straps with this, so I'm gonna be adjusting myself a lot. We'll see how it goes. I feel like we say that every time with like, oh, the rumors and the rumors. So we'll see. If you literally look up on YouTube, NemesisLacroix State of Play, bitch, every thumbnail is me looking bothered. I've never been pleased. I have not been pleased. Yes, reporter Nemesis live on the scene. Hello, hi. That's me. You know it. Literally just like, you'll see all the thumbnails of me looking bothered. Some of them are even titled State of Boring. No, literally, the state of plays are the definition of, okay, let's see. Yeah, my bet, okay, so do you want to hear my bets? We probably won't get anything good, and I'm shooting low. I'm excited for Mortal Kombat gameplay, very excited, because we're getting that. I think we'll get like one big name, because I hope we get one big name, because this is the state of play last year that they announced Street Fighter 6. They actually announced Street Fighter 6 at this state of play last year. So going into 2024, I'm like, we don't really have a lot of giant names and release dates yet. Maybe they'll do Tekken's release date or something, but we don't have anything for early 2024 release date as of right now. So we have a lot of games anticipated that don't have release dates that I think we might see. But besides that, I'm like, we really don't have like the names. I really hope we get a Tekken release date. That's definitely possible. I think we'll see more Final Fantasy gameplay. Oh, sorry, my mic's not on. Hello? Can you guys hear me? Is the mic on? You add reverb in post. Are subs off? What do you mean? Low quality, low expectations. Yeah. Thank you, Diamond Form. Okay, I'm gonna adjust myself, but hopefully not flash you guys. Okay, I think I did it. I was taking Snapchats and I accidentally like, I can't gift a sub. Why? What? Not Twitch blocking me from getting subs. Oh, okay. It's just a glitch on their end. I'm like, excuse me, I'm getting my coin. I'm getting my bag. You guys should all hit that button and gift one for $5 to test it to make sure it's okay for you. There's no way this arm thing is gonna stay up the way I want it to the entire time. I'm gonna be adjusting myself like crazy. Maybe I can do this. Oh, that's not. I could probably do this and then flip it around. Marie, thank you for the follow. What games do you recommend getting for Nintendo Switch? Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Bayonetta 3, Pokemon. I would get this Nintendo Switch Online for all the retro games, but that's because I'm a retro girl. But I don't play a lot of games on Switch, so I don't really know, honestly. I can't believe we're getting Money in the Bank qualifying matches soon for wrestling. Like, it doesn't feel real that that's like around the corner. See, there you go. Period. Thank you so much for gifting us sub, Crimson. Thank you very much. Hi, Danny. How you doing, sexy oomphy? It's literally insane. It's like right there. I'm like, oh. I know, this weekend. Oh, they got the opera. I hear some opera music. Some Oprah music. I don't know. Could be 20 minutes, could be 40 minutes. Last year's was 20, but we haven't gotten a 41 in a while, so this could be 40. They're not really consistent. Does this look okay? Oh my god, let me not flash my boobs. No, I like it strapless. They really do. They're like, yeah, fuck it. I'm like, oh. Are Sony and... No. Yes. Sony and PlayStation are the same thing. Like, Sony, they make, like, cameras and shit like that. They're under the same, like, brand. I kept, like, looking at Sony's Twitter, and it was like, buy this camera, buy this and that. And I was like, girl, I'm trying to find the time for State of Play. Get out of my face. I don't need to buy a camera. You anticipating any gameplay reveal or anything today? Honestly, no. The State of Plays are literally garbage. Like, no shade. I think the last good one was of September of last year. And that's when we got Project Eve, we got Street Fighter, we had Final Fantasy gameplay, we had some indie games. But yeah, it was, they usually don't do well at these, so we'll see. Because they do have to compete. Oh, I'm not officially a co-host. This is all satire. A lot of people on TikTok don't understand my satire. I'm like, guys, don't take me seriously at all. Like, I literally, everything I say is just a joke. And then I had to turn the comments off of that one Tears of the Kingdom video because they were like, people saw that, blah, 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 blah. Girl, please. It's not that serious. I'm literally, I have a wig on. I'm wearing a lot of drags. I'm wearing a fucking bow tie, for Christ's sake. Let's not take it too seriously. Hello, Tiss. Hi, Maddie. How are you? I'm doing good. Every time you said that emote, Maddie, it reminds me of Neville Pepperman. Is it Neville Pepperman? I can't tell. What playing what they state? Not Sony or PlayStation, because they're gonna throw like some weird gameplay trailers at us that are space and medieval, and then they're gonna clock out. I already know it. We still have like 10 minutes. I'm ready early. I'm never ready this early. I'm usually putting a nail set on at the last minute before the state of play starts. Dun, 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 dun. I would love to see a retro game remade. Any retro game remade, I'd gag. Bitch, I'd gag if Naughty Dog does anything with goddamn Jack and Daxter. That's what I would gag at. Oh, I would gag on it. Zafina Tekken trailer, I would gag on. No, like I would literally shit my pants. But I think we're in the era of fighting games. I think last year was like the remake year. This year's like the fighting game year. If I had to pick like a theme for every year. Manny, there's no new Tetris game. Can you just like, please? If me and Maddie were together IRL like we were that one night we got drunk at the bar, I think me and Maddie would literally create our own WWE. Roblox PS5 port. Yep. That she's coming. Yeah, I'll show you a Tetris 99 when I shove these blocks in your mouth. I wanted to wear a red lip, but I hate this red lip on me. I hate like really like vibrant lip color. I just love like a bronze, like nude everything. Hi Jang. Hi Izzy. When Nem makes a WWE, when Nem makes a Maddie render in WWE, when I make a Maddie call so I can just beat the shit out of Maddie's call and I win the title off of Maddie and then make Maddie job out. Me and Maddie would have a feud like Trish and Mickey James back in the day. That it goes down in history as the iconic feud. Is there a Discord? Yes, there is, but you will not be accepted into the Discord until after the stream. Because we have to approve everything. Make sure you're not a troll. Oh my god, yeah, Ada's Separate Ways DLC we need. That better be shown off here. Our baby has been born. What do we call it? Can we name it Alexis Michelle Jr.? I think that's a very tasteful name. After a legend. You know how like people name their baby like after religious purposes? I'm very Alexis Michelle religious. So can we name our baby Alexis Michelle Jr.? That's her first name too. Alexis Michelle Jr. And then our last name when we get married. Alexis Michelle Jr. Marie Blank. Marie Rose Blank. Oh, I like the name Sasha. It's very gender neutral. Yeah, I love that. Diva worship. Marie Rose Blank. Lacroix Network. Did you guys know, if you haven't, Jesus Christ, is this the baby shower? State of play baby shower, you guys. Stop, you're gonna make my wig pop. You're stupid. Thank you so much. Everybody, can you go follow Denny? Denny's gonna start streaming eventually soon, and Denny's gonna be very attractive and hot and have a good stream funsy onesies. So go follow Denny. Arrives to the state of play in a tasteful panty and blouse combo. You can't go wrong. Oh, a blouse and panty. That's giving, what was it? Candice Michelle's attire in that one WWE game where she had like the corset and then the fairy wand. Mm-hmm. That's what you would arrive in that, and then I would arrive in the Ashley Mazzara when she did that Halloween battle royale and she was wearing the fairy wings. That's what I'm wearing right now. Not right now, but like hypothetically. What are you guys wearing hypothetically? What's everybody wearing? What are you wearing? Oh, I don't have the microphone. I haven't been talking to the mic this whole time. Hold on, let me put it on. Can you guys hear me? Is it working? Ruli fans look. She said, let me secure the golden boot again real quick. Yes, first day off of school. Congrats. I just want something with a very wide brimmed hat. One of those giant hats that like Jujubee wore in that one challenge of Drag Race, the like sun hat that's enormous. What are you wearing? Can they start the show? Because I know I'm going to be disappointed. Watch them have the best show of their lives. Oops, sorry. Watch them have the best show of their lives, like... And I'm just like shitting in their lives. Oh, I hear the music picking up. Congrats on graduating, Maddie. Maybe you won't fall asleep 10 times in one stream anymore. Oh! Oh! Cut the mic. Maddie didn't hear that. I wasn't talking into the mic. I've had one sip of an energy drink. Jesus Christ, am I all right? Oh my God. That mic stank. Fuck you. Guys, it's the estrogen. My burps smell lovely because the estrogen in my veins. Okay. Can't stay because I'm at work, but you're hot and talented. Thank you, baby. Hi, Brady and Etta. Brady and Etta, you better not comment anything on this stream and say that anything's homophobic, because they'll get you in the YouTube and TikTok comments. You better keep it cute. Guys, I promise I won't say anything about playable Zelda this stream. I promise I won't. To everybody on the TikTok and the YouTube comments, I'm sorry I ever wanted to play as Princess Zelda. I'm so sorry. I won't say it again. When Street Fighter comes up and I say, I want to play as playable Sea Viper, and then they like crucify me. Girl, I could literally pop my pussy in this. I assume that means she's not playable. No, it's just like what happened on TikTok. Hello? Or oh my god, Brady. Wait, let's keep it cute. Hold on, you need to shh, cut the camera. Shh. Oh. Me when I stay tuned. I know, girl, we've been tuned in. If I have a nip slip and you guys see my boobs today, I am a man all of a sudden. My estrogen goes out of my body. Mr. Twitch, I am a man if my boobs come out. Do not hurt me. Could you imagine Persona 6 this stream? The internet would break. Very unlikely, but gag. Yeah, let's all do breathing exercises because this is probably gonna be like such a disappointment and we're all so excited for no reason. Okay, wait, let me plug stuff before it starts. I have a podcast on Spotify. You can stream my podcast on Spotify. It's about women's wrestling and we just talk shit and we're a bunch of drag friends and we have a good time on the podcast. It's called Triple Threat on Spotify. I am going to be probably at SummerSlam, WWE SummerSlam, so you can meet me there and we can hang out over there. If you're in Australia, I'm gonna be in Australia next month. You can hang out there, you can book me over there, do whatever. Over on my YouTube channel, we're almost at 6,000 subscribers. Go over to the YouTube channel, go over there. Also on TikTok, we're almost at 100K followers. Go to TikTok, follow my TikTok, everywhere, NemesisLacroix. You can also catch me here on Twitch almost 5 times a week up until I leave in June for a month to go to Australia. I'm here 5 times a week in drag, doing fun stuff all the time, retro gaming, variety streaming, twitch.tv/NemesisNetwork. Yes. And also I'm available for Pride gigs, so book me for Pride. I won't be going to the NXT thing. I'm so sorry, Alan. I was going to, but Roxy wasn't booked, and Roxy was gonna be my in. Because I texted her and she was like, girl, I'm not gonna be there. And I was like, oop. So I was gonna do her makeup. How's that sound? I would like it to be a little louder than me, but I'm really early. It's a little loud. I'll turn it down a little bit. I need a volume mixer. Junior, thank you so much for 9 months. Excuse me. Where were the 4 a.m. brownies? Girl, they were a disaster. I'm glad I licked the spoon. Okay, hello, it's 4 o'clock. Can we get it together? Be on time. Being late is not a personality trait. All right? Slay Slay, thank you for your prime 6 months. Girl, how did you fuck up brownies? Girl, just like you fall asleep every fucking stream. I don't know. I'll fuck up your brownies. Oh my god, Ruth, thank you so much for 8 months. Fight. Oh, hype train happening. Hype train at the start of the state of play. We haven't had a hype train like this in a while. Please give me money, keep my lights on, keep me a full-time content creator. Give me money. I'm a good content creator. I like money. Hello, I like money. Where the fuck is the stream gonna start? It's 4:01. Start. Being late is not a personality trait. Mod Driver, thank you for the 100 biddies. Coffee Bean, thank you so much for the 2 months. Oh, there's like a little... Oh my god, we're starting. Oh, mature audiences. Are we gonna get a Silent Hill trailer? I don't need the disco opening. You guys can just start the show. No shade. We just sat at a loading screen for an extra 2 minutes. So I don't need your goddamn opening. This isn't Broadway. Relax. Oh, I already have a technology space game. How lovely.
You want to know about us?
I don't.
Seems like everyone does these days. It's simple. Too much money and too much power is held by just a few people. And it's only getting worse. So,
Payday 3.
we decided to do something about it. Let's go.
Designer socks too, I got the swag too. It's a haiku, I'm something like you. My drink and drive too, work 9 to 5s when I was in high school.
What are you guys saying in the chat right now?
I'll crop you. Married to the game, said my I do's got a window seat like Erykah Badu.
Is this Payday? Oh, I don't understand the meme. Girl, is this Payday? You heard I heard crickets. Stop! I'm gonna ban that word. What the fuck does padam mean? What? Stop! Oh, it's not Payday, you guys. Oh, Kylie Minogue's new song. Guys, please. I've literally been sleeping and only playing Outlast Trials for the last like 4 days, okay?
Hi everyone, I'm Jim Ryan, President and CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment. I'm delighted to be here today to introduce what's next for PlayStation 5.
The intrusive thoughts almost just came out so bad. I'm so glad I didn't say what I wanted to say.
We've been fortunate to have so many fan-favorite titles released on the platform.
Are you sure?
What's even more exciting is that developers are just scratching the surface of what's possible with the gaming experiences that they create.
Clearly not
Today,
enough because
you'll get a
Jack and
glimpse into
Daxter
some
is
of the
still
most
dead in a ditch.
breathtaking and imaginative content that will be coming to PS5 and PlayStation VR 2. And now, what you've all been waiting for. Enjoy the show.
What is with this like overhyped budget? Like, I don't understand. What? I'm just like really aggressive right now.
Super Earth.
Oh my Jesus Christ. Space game number 1.
Of life. But freedom doesn't come free.
No! Sweet liberty! No!
Cringe.
Look familiar? Scenes like these are happening all over the galaxy right now. And you could be next. That is, unless you make the most important decision of your life. Prove to yourself that you have the strength and the courage to be free. Join The Helldivers.
Transphobia simulator game. Like, what is this? Say the T-slur simulator game. This is what they do in that game, Boots.
True freedom. The freedom to travel the galaxy and secure the resources we need to build a better tomorrow. The freedom to encounter fascinating life forms and introduce them to our sophisticated...
I'm gonna be the nice girl today. I'm gonna be the nice girl.
The freedom to make new friends and represent the best of what Super Earth has to offer.
Now let's remember this. If they pay me to play this game, I'll trust and believe. I'll tell you this is the best game till the cows come home. Otherwise, oh girl, it's a wrap.
And democracy. Become part of something larger than yourself. Become.
Oh yeah, please be mean.
Become a legend. Become
Not the space colonizers. Not Space Colonizers, the video game.
Decapitation or morbidication. Not all Helldivers survive.
Next. Welcome in. Thank you guys for coming. Space game number 2 already.
Sir?
Space number 2 already. 2 games are space games. Camp. So fucking camp.
Maybe engage a little.
They always hit us with the space games, girl. Oh, I love how colorful the chat is right now. No, you didn't miss anything good.
Establish a stronghold, and Kirkin seems to think you might not get me killed.
That ponytail? It's giving Sims 2 for PS2. No movement in that ponytail. It was so stiff. I say that with got to be sprayed the fuck out of my hair right now, but listen, there's a difference.
Oh boy.
Are we done?
The last immortal.
You could slap a like a AAA title on this and I wouldn't play it.
Given them enough yet.
You could be like, this is Halo 47, and I would be like, boots. Looks so chopped. This is a chop. What do you hate more, goulash or space games? Both.
Don't turn your back on me.
Bofa. Bofa D's nuts in your mouth! You know what? We'll get more of a reaction for the chat over this trailer, over any space game. You know what's better? Everybody, clap your hands if you like girl cock. Woo! Woo! See, the chat's moving. See? They move. The chat moved. Moved more than that entire trailer did. My window's open and my neighbors probably heard me scream that. It's no tea. Space game number 3. Space game number 3. Space game number 3. Is it your birthday, Goose? You're a Gemini? Notice the silence right now? Nobody's talking in the chat. Nobody. I wasn't even talking either.
66 days to live.
I genuinely thought this was separate ways for Resident Evil, and then it said that, and I went, oh.
Just run away.
Oh, there's horses! Medieval game number 1! Oh, she's fierce. Already the best thing out of the entire presentation so far. Women!
Anyone else.
Woo!
That no one could escape.
Oh, you think it's Neo? It might be Neo, actually.
Everyone wears a mask. You too. This is a real face.
This is already the best of the night so far.
Did you sell them?
I'm interested. They have me. But the bar is very low. The bar is very low.
Only a dead person can keep a secret.
Yeah, notice how the ponytail moves? I could do that. Did you see what he just did? I could do that IRL right now, no problem. The dead woman in the bed levitating, honestly, so real of her. Needing that. I know this game is giving Subspace Emissary how the game was all desaturated and tried to be realistic, but it just was no color in it. Let's be honest, you guys. We think this is cute right now because we just watched 3 boring space games. I'm gonna be real, we'll probably see this in like a year and a half and like crickets.
Patience is the key, Master. Time is not on his side. All we have to do is wait.
Yes. Let's kill him with time.
What's your plan? Knowing you have only 66 days to live.
Get my heart back.
Oh, a little horsey. I need to see something unique. Unique! This looks promising. Bitch, this better be Journey 2. I would gag. Oh my god, I just got chills. I just got chills. Period. Winner of the night so far. I just got chills. The leg hair on my legs just got... Wow. I loved Journey. Journey is such a good game. If you haven't played it, you need to play Journey. Beautiful indie game. Oh. Oh my god, it's like in the ocean. That's scary. Not PS5. Can we play PC? I didn't have a PS5. I need to get a PS5. That was good. That's exciting.
A new world awaits you.
Another space game.
Dangers and mysteries.
Space robot game.
Signs
Woo!
and wonders.
I just got lightheaded.
I in my garden could
Number
never
4.
have imagined.
Think of the world we could build if we believed in ourselves.
Another one, no thank you. Another one, no thank you.
To face the universe without fear or delusion. Imagine vast cities full of life and light. Great towers rising towards the sky. So much would be possible if we believed, if we still had faith.
Talos! That's my friend! That's my best friend's name! All right, good. Okay, also, I'll talk about it at the end of the stream. Never mind. Not Game of the Year, please. Sorry, I'm not talking to the... Oh my god, not the dead bird. Oh my god. Great soundtrack. Not me after rolling a blunt. So real. She's gonna revive him. It's no tea. So is the dog gonna get up? Oh. Oh my god, the abrupt music! That was so... The tone changed! Like, what the fuck? If this game is more than $10, we're not buying it. There's no way that game is more than $10. Somebody needs to find that out. If that game is more than $10, I will be gagged. I know you're not selling me this, like, Flash game for more than $10. Girl, I swear to fucking God. The way they haven't done, like, an intermission. Oh! Fortnite?
Okay, it's a showtime!
is this? Is this Fortnite? Yes, the cummy spray. They're fighting with cummies. Okay, I'm with it. The character designs, the color. I'm with it. This is just like Fortnite and Splatoon put into one. Boots. But I'm into it. I'm done with it! Oh my god, cute! Look at the character designs! Who is singing this song? Turn this up! I love her design. She's everything.
Foamstar party?
Foamstars. Trans rights. I just hit my reflex and I just like kicked my desk. I was so scared. Loved that. That was everything. That was fun.
Welcome to the land of Mojo.
Are you ready for
Here we find
oh,
Judd, the plucky squire, and his friend.
I'm sure it'll get a PC release or something.
And Pip. Our heroes protect the land from the
Eventually.
villainous sorcerer Humgrump.
Girl, I want to see the cosmetics in that Foamstars game because that was everything. Like, what's the character creation? Oh, it's like 3D and 2D.
Jock finds a whole new world to explore.
Oh my god, wait, this is really cute!
Surprises and attractively furnished accommodation. Our
I would
heroes
play
must battle
this!
Humgrump across the two realms if they are to save their beloved land from his
I wouldn't pay money to play it, but this looks cute. It looks cute.
Off the page and into adventure.
Plucked. Plucky Squire. No release dates on any of these games, just 2023. The year's half over, so let's get the release date cooking. You are not serious. This is so unserious. This looks like a lovely game for 12-year-olds. Grow up. Honestly, if you're playing this as an adult, I need you to be locked up. I'm gonna be so serious too. Why was the boat driving itself? Listen, Minecraft outsells. Tear down. I'm sure the fucking Dream fandom is gonna love that game. Oh, it's only on PS5? Girl, shut up. Well, let me not say Dream. They're gonna cancel me on the TL. Oh! Like they did Casey Tron. Oh! Ew. Is that a fly? I'm out of here. Me versus Fly, the video game. Is this grounded? Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the video game. Girl, get this out of my face. Like, I don't want to see this. Is that a dead body? Did you know some people have a gene that lets them smell ants? So tops and bottoms. Ew. If you can smell an ant, you're a top. If you can't, you're a bottom. Just science. It's proven. Maybe not Slay Mama 123 though. Your friend kept calling you a twink. I can't. Does this count as medieval? What was the other one we would always say during these? It's space. What? Girl, I'm gagged. Okay, that gagged me. I'm so serious. Wow. Claps to that. That's a big title. That's gaggy. Oh my god, you can get the older ones and that's awesome. I love that. Yeah, he's in Smash. He's the hot guy that has a juicy ass that I want to just shove my face in. Sorry, Metal Gear game coming out soon? Excited? Snake can definitely smell ants. Oh, that voice is scary. Oh my god, it's that one episode of SpongeBob. SpongeGar. This is kind of cute. It's a different. It's unique. I like it. See, this is like what I want. We'll talk about it more at the end of the. Oh my god, Genshin Impact! Did you see that? This game literally copied Genshin Impact. Like, I can't believe they would copy Genshin. Wait, this is kind of everything though. Hold on. We'll talk about what I'm thinking later. Excuse me, Fortnite stole the glider from Genshin. And Genshin was invented in 1932. So like it's everything's copied Genshin. Just putting that out there.
The blind march is on. These people live with a knife to their throats.
You have to believe us. We'd help you if we could.
But you're helping us already.
Medieval number 2? 3? Oh, this is Final Fantasy?
Did you think we'd thank you? They'll never forgive us. We're all marked now.
Every time you show your faces, it is we who suffer.
It's Final Fantasy. Is it not? I thought that was the main character.
So.
It is.
Crystals take more than they give.
You mean to tell me that the mother crystals are the reason the world is dying?
The mother crystals! The mother crystals are the reason the world is dying! Actually, more like they're thriving, but... When I changed my drag name to Mother Crystal... Not the Bob. These characters left booger boots. I'm sorry. I am the Mother Crystal. No, it's true, it's true.
They believe in the power of the dominant.
Can we just get kids out of video games? I don't want them in video games. Get them away. Shoo.
By your blind resolve. And thus is the light of hope severed. We don't
Yep.
Salvation.
Mother
Save
math.
ourselves.
Everybody remember to do your math. Can't say that with a serious face. I'm XD.
What are the dominants?
Not a twink in sight. Well, maybe that's for a good reason.
I use my talents to
Well, there's a few in the chat,
Tell me there is shame in that?
so it's making up for that.
We shared a dream. I would be the king of the world.
Darkness has taken hold of you. It has made you forget yourself.
I don't want to be a monster. Like,
Like, the gameplay looks really good, like, awesome, but, like, the character designs of the characters are pretty disappointing, I'm gonna be honest. Like, those characters we saw, it was like...
Strength to end your reign. Your efforts will avail us naught.
Like, I'm gonna enjoy it, but, like, the character designs look...
We survive. We endure.
They just look like... It's like default sim, but they put like spicy hair on them. They put like they were like, wait, we want to make this character look great. We're gonna put a nice white asymmetrical bob on the main woman in our story. Like, ooh, we're gonna spice it up. Like, what, girl? Please. Are they ending the show? I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm trapped here. In this nightmare. I write to escape. Every word is a step forward. Into darkness.
Oh, this is darkness.
I'm glad you're on this case with me, Anderson. It's right up your alley.
Where's the Mortal Kombat gameplay?
FBI Special Agent Robert Knight.
We were supposed to see that today.
So you knew Al Victim?
Only the rumors. He was chasing a writer.
Someone knew they were here. Was playing a game with them.
Killer left a message.
It's for us. The text is about us.
We were all trapped in a horror story. The horror story wanted us dead.
Oh, we get to play as a woman. Period. She's probably gonna die right here, but it's no tea. Well,
something I'm forgetting. Something important. Something's not right.
Easy now. First things first. What's your name?
oh, okay, Halloween release. We've been kind of lacking some of those.
Welcome, Hidden One. You have died and been reborn.
I'm not gagging. I've never been gagged. Not a single time I've been gagged.
We need to find a way to get you inside without being seen. You could bribe the guards to look the other way.
I shall see what flavor best suits me.
I'm glad someone does.
Embrace the fear. Quiet it. Find the stillness. And let's go. The stage is yours, Basim. We will be watching.
So that's not a DLC for the game they've been... Okay. Sorry I said anything. Oh, this is the night whatever. People love this game. I don't know the name of it, but people love this franchise. Lots of inappropriate art of this game or whatever it is. What is it called? Night in the Woods, yes. Lots of inappropriate art of Night in the Woods. It's kind of bad. I'm like, oh. Oh, it's a new one. Okay. Would that count as medieval? I hear like this country music. Let's count it as medieval. Hi, Sauce. Well, they cracked 20 minutes, so it's definitely not a 20-minute show, which is exciting. Is this fucking GranBlue? I will jump. I think this is GranBlue, you guys. I'm up. I'm up. I'm up. I'm up. I'm up. We're finally gonna get this game. We're finally gonna get this game, you guys. I'm up. I'm standing up. It's GranBlue. We won. We won. They announced this game 4 years ago and then pushed it back and never came out with a release date. This has been in a work in progress for years. They literally announced this game and then said, you know what, guys, actually, never mind. And I've been silent for years. They have ultimate moves. Not. Oh yes, they announced this I think a couple, like literally 4 to 5 years ago. They have ultimate abilities. I'm excited. I'm excited. Oh, hand holding. Hand holding. Winter! Yay! It's coming out this winter. Oh my god, so exciting. Oh! Hey Capcom, hey Street Fighter. Stay tuned for possible Nemesis Network and Street Fighter collaborations in the near future.
During my journey for true strength.
I'm very excited.
My share of enemies. Opponents I had to overcome. My journey knows no end. I will continue to do.
He's so hot in this game, it's crazy.
When you said you were seeking strength, despite having no real need to do so.
Oh, Zangief.
Honestly, I thought you were
Manon!
Masters, he was set up.
Oh my god, Blanca!
I'm not nearly strong enough to chase.
Oh, she's so pretty.
Like that.
Ah! Jury!
It's probably worth looking into this nice shawl business.
Cammy!
That power seemed to be the Satsui no Hado.
Dalsim!
Was it a trick of the senses?
Bison, he attempted to set the world under his heel through violence. A veritable madman.
When you go looking for strength, it's
Honda.
not like a game. This journey doesn't have a real
Oh my god, Alex is so hot. Oh, it's gonna be so good, you guys. I'm so excited. It's like soon. If you pre-order, you get outfits. Wait, Jury was wearing a Chun-Li outfit. Shut up. I gagged. Luke? Why did I say Alex? Oh, that's another character. Sorry. Next Friday, work. Period. We will be playing on release. 2D game. Guess who's going to sleep? Bathroom break. I'm up. I'm sad. $2024 for a 2D game? Girl, be serious. Project Eve? Oh no, this is, what's it called? I think this is blue. This is Tower of Fantasy. That's Nemesis. That's, her name is Nemesis. Why are they showing Tower of Fantasy? Who just yelled? What's happening? Is this another game? Did I miss it? Go from one game to the next? Oh. Oh. Anyway. We move on.
Ah, okay. Wow.
Capcom. More Capcom? Oh, Monster Hunter maybe? Oh, this is Monster Hunter. Oh! I lied.
You do not remember? Then have you forgotten that you protected me from the dragon's flames?
You need only believe in your own destiny, Arisa.
Of course. That begs the question.
Okay, Wig.
If he's a mere mummer, then where might our true Arisen?
Oh wow, this looks really good.
In your hands, Sir Arisen.
Praise be.
Not Capcom clearing every brand. They have Resident Evil, they have Street Fighter, they have this. Girl, it's a wrap. Oh, Capcom's oh, she's taking it. First one is amazing. I've never played. Oh, not too much. Okay, Wig. Oh, that's me after poppers. Or Coke. Everybody remember to do your Coke. Coca-Cola. Not drug.
Welcome back for another week of career
Oh my god, this is the FNAF DLC, I think.
We know how challenging it can be to find a place where you feel that you truly belong.
This comes out this summer, so I'm hoping they give us a release date. I'm excited about this. We played this 3 years ago. Can you imagine that? 2 or 3 years ago already. That's gaggy.
Also, there were no other applicants. So strap yourself in and get motivated to an appropriate degree.
Oh, this isn't the DLC?
Because you ain't seen nothing yet.
Is it gonna be open world? I feel like that was a little unnecessary, but get your life. Oh, not the PlayStation VR shit. Oh, here we go. Okay, you can play Resident Evil 4 in VR, I guess.
How far could he have gone?
I just can't with them like trying to sell us their VR. It's like, girl, I'm not paying that much money. I don't even use the one I have right now. Does anyone want to buy mine? I'll sell it to you for $100. Get it out of my... I need to get rid of some shit in my apartment. Like, I will buy you... You can buy this brand new VR. Anybody? Comments below. Oculus VR. Just take it. I know, literally. Well, I have brat stalls. I don't like brats anymore, so I want to sell them a VR and then a headset and just get it out of my apartment. Do they have you do the hard mode on VR? I would probably actually die in real life. You die in the game, you die in real life. That would be me trying to do the extra hard mode. Are we really not gonna get like Stellar Blade? Not this cowboy western.
I've sinned.
Oh, forgive me, Father.
A lot.
I slept with a T-girl in Alabama and I liked it. And she was fucking me good and I liked it and I'm sinning against the Lord. And I do coke, and I smoke the Mary Jane, and I don't like
and lately I've started
gay people.
Destructive tendencies. Whoosh. What do we have here?
Oh, this is VR.
A bit of harmless fun. Hello, uglies. Blah 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 blah.
Cringe.
Since I met my new best friend, I guess I get a little overprotective.
Ethel Kane Simulator. We won!
Okay, very overprotective. Now, I'd love to sit here all day and chew your ear off. I'll be right out, boy. But as you know, time waits for no man. Catch you later, Fred. Who's a good boy?
That is a good game. I do like Arizona Sunshine. One of the only good zombie VR games. So that's fun, but am I gonna do that? No! I'm gonna move on with my life. Oh my god. Do you guys know how to fade in a video game with noise? It takes 2 seconds. Clap if you care. Oh my god, the VR section.
Target Colonel Peter Conrad. He was one of ours before he went rogue. We intercepted intercepted comms chatter referring to neurosynaptic tech, but they've gone dark. I don't have to remind you what's at stake here. We need that intel by any means necessary. It's connected to a mind synchronization device. This is cutting-edge interrogation tech. We're out of time and out of options. We've got to go in.
Is this Ghostwire Tokyo?
Well, come on then. Let's see what you're made of.
Is this not? Oh, it's super hot?
I'll admit, you made a good team.
What is this?
This is my mind, my war, my rules.
I need you to focus. The clock is ticking.
The Galaxy Android phone background that thing is right there? What is that? Default ass background on my computer.
You're getting close. You're approaching the center of his subconscious.
You think you're a threat to me?
I'll never talk. They'll never break me.
It is, yeah, the floating hands are in every VR game. Oh, not be- hold on, I have to mute this. Don't fucking copyright me, bitch. There's licensed music. Oh yeah, I caught it. Oh, trust. So this is everybody's opportunity to give me money for absolutely no reason besides that I'm gorgeous and stunning. Perfect. Queen music pack. Thank you. Needed that. I agree. Code Lyoko VR would slap. It would work my pussy out. Larva. Another space game. I think that's 6. Is this not what we saw at the beginning of the show? I thought we already saw this game. Oh, that's right. We haven't seen this, but all the space games look the same because they do the same tired little schlep. It's like nothing imaginary. There's no vision. What do you mean wait? There's nothing to wait for. Girl, this looks booger boots. Who cares? We're gonna forget about this game in like 2 months. Unless they roll it like, who cares? Like, literally, who cares? No, I think System Shock comes out at the end of the month. This Bungie company needs to get away. Unless y'all are gonna pay me the big bucks to play your games, I need you to get off this show. I need you to stop while you're ahead.
I don't even know where to begin.
This is Destiny.
So
oh my.
We've slain gods.
That's number 7.
Vanquished nightmares. Fought alongside those who we once fought against. I wish you could have been there.
I wish it was Destiny's Child. They need to do a collab. That would make me play this game.
Yeah, me
Destiny's.
Too,
oh.
But hey, I'm here now.
So does he have a
Whatever the hell
penis?
here is.
Present it.
Contract site coming up. 15 seconds. 10 seconds.
This is Guardians of the Galaxy.
5, 4.
I think it's Guardians of the Galaxy.
Three gunners. Here we go.
Why would you show that and be like, oh yeah, it's coming 2024? You showed us nothing. You showed us a spaceship and a burger. Like, get serious. Wait till your game's a little more produced. So fucking unserious, dude. Oh yeah, Viola's a banned word in my chat. 100%.
Gran Turismo players
Oh my.
will compete for a place in racing history.
If it's not Mario Kart Double Dash, I don't want it. Like, who's playing this, like, seriously? I know who's playing it, the Straits. And do I care? No. Your life is that boring, you're playing that. Just go outside and drive a car in real life. Go outside. I can't. You don't need a video game to do that. Literally just go and sign up at the...
Thank you for joining us today. Before we get into our final game, I have a few announcements to share. At PlayStation, innovation is our passion. And that applies to not just what games you play, but
don't
how
say
you play
NFT.
them. Later this year, we will launch a dedicated device that enables you to stream any game from your PS5 console using remote play over Wi-Fi. Internally known as Project Q, it has an 8-inch HD screen and all of the buttons and features of the DualSense wireless controller.
It's... Wait, it's...
We look
Where's
forward
Mortal
to sharing more
Kombat?
information in the near future. I'm also pleased to reveal our first ever PlayStation earbuds, which will bring next generation audio immersion to PS5.
Not the PlayStation
and PC.
AirPods.
They simultaneously connect to smartphones via Bluetooth.
How much?
New wireless technology.
Those are gonna be
with lossless audio
$500.
with low latency, giving you outstanding sound quality while you're playing.
Show me how much.
Look out for more details soon.
Show.
We hope today's showcase demonstrates our continued commitment to delivering experiences that surprise.
I'm gonna say
and delight our
$239.99 for the
I want to thank
headphones.
all of you
So serious.
for your unwavering
Not even a
support for
meme.
PlayStation.
And tell me I'm right. Mortal Kombat is at Summer Games Fest. I thought they were doing... I thought they said it was tonight. Not this hairpiece. Girl, you need to go to the store and get a full unit for the top of your head.
You grow slow.
It's either gonna be Alien or Jurassic Park, and all of them I'm not with, so I'm already like boots.
A fate you will not share.
Or it's probably Far Cry.
I've been in your shadow for hours, but you sense nothing. Pathetic.
Clap if you care. Well, he deserved to die anyway because of that appendage on his head that he wants to call a hairpiece.
I asked for an equal. And this is what what you find.
Sir, perhaps a new hunting ground.
Oh, it is Spider-Man.
Light the fires. The great hunt begins.
If this is it and they don't show us any more gameplay, I'm gonna be so bothered because they did this last time. Release date? Something. Come on. Oh.
Lizard sighted in Queens. Closing in now.
Guys, they're gonna get Maddie. Oh shit. Maddie, get down!
Cover the door. The beast could be anywhere.
Guys, they're going to Maddie's house. Oh my god. Oh my god. Maddie's in there.
You have no idea.
Oh, we got gameplay.
This whole lizard hunt ends now. Leave Connors alone.
Hot. These games are so good. I'm excited.
Craven wants a hunt. I'll give him one he'll never forget.
Is it the twink version though? I missed the one that does TikToks with Terry Joe. You know the guy that did the original Spider-Man, the face capture? He does TikToks with Terry Joe. Kind of iconic. Then they replaced him with some twink that's supposed to look like Tom Holland, but doesn't really look like him. Just a wannabe Walmart Sheen Tom Holland.
All teams converge. Lizards across the river. I'm not gonna make it in time.
Oh, you get to play as Miles.
Miles, the hunters tracked Connors to the Harlem Fish Market.
Oh, Miles kicked up.
I'm on it.
You better work,
Like
Miles.
off his we don't have much time. Move. Guess we'll chat later.
Yeah, I'll play. I'll play this game.
Pinky, the lizard's loose at the fish market. Must be sushi night. You still got the hunter trophy?
Oh my god, this gameplay is
Really
awesome.
tough hiding it from my mom, but yeah, I'll boot up and see you there.
Miles' story in the first game made me cry. Waiting for Switch to Black Cat, I'd gag. Can you imagine? They'll never do it though. They hate us. They hate the gays.
He's done for.
I really.
Spread out. If you find the lizard, don't engage alone.
Oh, you get to make your
Those
own.
fish. It's been feeding.
Never saw it coming. So, how's the hunt going?
Watch out for his new powers!
Oh wow.
Judging by the 3 tons of dead fish, not well. All right.
Oh wow.
Where are you, Connors? Garage might lead to him.
Gagged. When Black Cat comes out.
Connors tore through this place. He's out of control.
Did he just fall through the floor? What happens if you dodge that?
How'd you find me?
Follow the fish.
Drone's picking up Lizard's trail. He's still eating. We can catch him off guard. Genki,
We'll talk about that momentarily, Marshy.
It's just his skin.
Doesn't that mean he's getting bigger?
Hungrier too. Whoa. Hey, man. New threats?
The building's swarming with hunters. Any sign of Connors?
Yeah. Genki's tracking him.
Hey, Mr. Parker. Mr. Spider-Man, I mean.
But the date isn't complete.
Okay, I think I got a lock.
Genki, wait! Be chill! That wasn't me.
Me neither.
I don't even have a stomach, so...
Let's go!
Go, go, go! Take him alive!
Can't lose Connors. Harry's dying, and he's the only one who can help.
We won't! You take the drones, I got the jet skis. Cool if I borrow this?
Oh, hot.
This is really, really exciting. Keep it tight, man. Watch out for those drones.
Don't worry, they think I'm a friendly.
Oh, the trans rights colors. This is fucking amazing so far. I'm excited to play this.
Take him out!
The East River is not a river, but
Oh.
in fact a saltwater tidal flat. Spider-Man is fighting on right now! Everybody down!
Help the tour boat! Right! I've got the metal murder bird!
I love the dynamic of both of them. I do think it's weird there's only two of them though. I hope there's a third. I hope it's Black Cat, like dead serious. Usually like selling like two, like or Venom. Like where's the third, you know? Like twos is weird, I'm expecting a third.
This gunship won't quit!
I'm right behind you. We'll take it down together.
No time!
Oh wow. When I try to do that when we play, I'm gonna flop. I'm gonna crash and die.
Time to go boom, boys!
Oh, no! Spider-Man, it's got defenses! Spider-Man, hang on!
The power of gay rights.
Over there! The one with the tendrils! Move!
What was that?
Grab on, let's go!
This has got to be releasing soon if they got this much out right now. Probably October release.
He's right behind you!
I know! Whoa!
Ski faster!
Fly faster! I do not want to be lizard food!
Could you imagine? This makes me want to play the first games again. I've replayed these games so many times on stream.
Look out! Everyone, take cover!
What are you guys doing?
Trying to take out that gunship! Can't get close enough!
But I can! I'm one of them, remember?
Bro, that's it! Hey! Alley-oop on 3?
Fine.
The way this is all gameplay.
1, 2, 3! Alley!
Well, we still haven't gotten the one person we're looking for. Oh my god.
He got away from us. It's good, Pete. I saved the tracker.
Pete. It's good, Pete.
Let's go, man, before he gets too far. No. He's mine. You sure? He's got big teeth.
So do I.
And would you like to use them?
He's not normally like that, right?
No. He's never like that.
I was kind of right. Why did they not give a release date?
Was it simply a trick of the senses?
Praise be. It's time.
A lot of these didn't have release dates. Like, why? I'll wait to get my 2 cents until we wrap up.
Let's see what you're made of.
Everything started when I met Freddy.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Sweet liberty!
Yeah, but you say that, but also, like, they just showed us, like, the entire first, like, 30 minutes of the game. So it's like...
Blah, 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 blah.
Okay, was that necessary? Oh, they're trying to do comedy. Okay, state of play. Crickets. Are you guys done? All right. Girl, please. The first 30 minutes is all they have. It says fall 2023 release. It's not all they have. They've been working on it for 4 years. Beautiful gowns, beautiful gowns. So, let's recap. So my first thoughts are too many space games. I think we counted 9. And okay, space game lovers, let me tell you this. I'm not a like anti. I like love Honkai Star Rail. It's a space game. It's built in space. But the space aspect has to be unique enough for me to be like, oh wow, that's really cool. Let me play this. Because like all of the space games literally looked like they could be the same game with how they were structured. I'm dead serious. I'm not even trying to be a hater. I'm looking from an outside perspective. I'm watching as a general consumer of watching the state of play. Like, you have to do, what is happening? Oh, it's just my hair. You just have to do something that's unique enough for me to be like, okay, this is a unique space game, something different, something new, something fresh. So That's my first thought. That the 9 space games we saw, I'm like, girl, be so serious. I will say everybody in the chat is saying this was disappointing. I don't think it was as disappointing as we expected. Like, I think it was like pretty solid comparatively to the other state of plays we've had. Like, if you literally, like I said before we started this, if you look on YouTube, NemesisLacroix state of play, all of the thumbnails are me looking bothered. I wasn't really bothered with this one. It could have been better, it could have been worse, but comparatively to the ones we've seen over the years, this is one of the better ones. I think the gag of the entire show is a new Metal Gear game. I'm not a Metal Gear player, but that coming out is a pretty big gag. Like, pretty insane. Pretty huge. Dragon's Dogma 2, I think, is another one. I think a new IP for the Journey franchise is a pretty big one as well. Five Nights at Freddy's, Sister Location, whatever, is pretty big. Foamstars looks cute, but has I need to see more, and I need to see the price. Because it could be another Sunset Overdrive situation, how it was overhyped, and then you play it and you're like, ooh. Which I did like that game, but like, you know. I need to see a prize. For a prize. What else was a gag? That's what I'm like, that's what I think as of right now, like genuinely thinking of the entire show. Street Fighter 6 looks amazing. Like, incredible. I liked that 2D, 3D game. That was cute. This I could go without. Foamstars looks amazing. Oh yeah, the building turtle game. That was cute as fuck. Like, really cute. Spider-Man looks amazing. Yeah, what is this? When is this coming out? Because this looks really fun. Yeah, the Tower of Fantasy trailer was really unnecessary. Like, are they really making that much money that they snuck into State of Play? Like, what was that? Like, seriously, like, actually, what was that? I literally went on my phone and pretended it didn't exist. That was insane. Oh, and GranBlue. I'm really excited for that. Like, really excited. I might stream it if I can, because, like, I've been wanting to play those for so long. And since we do the fighting game series, we'll probably play their fighting game, because they have a fighting game. It's like a 2D fighter game, which is exciting. I think biggest disappointments are all the space games. I think Assassin's Creed looks booger boots. Like, I literally do not care. Like, that's just me, though. I think it looks okay, but, like, seriously, when is it gonna be new? Like, I just, like, how many times can you make the same guy in the white robe doing his thing and jumping on people and killing? It's like the Hitman games. I'm like, I can't, but I'm throwing rocks at a glass house right now, so whatever. Also, Final Fantasy 16 looks really good. It's just like the character, because like the characters are so bland to me because it's set in this medieval world. Like, I don't even know what I was expecting, but like, I don't know. It looks so, it looks really fun to play, but like the character designs and like the medieval setting, I just don't know if I'm like in love with, but like, it's no tea, it's whatever. Oh, hi AMD, just dropping a follow. Hi. Are you gonna be my Widowmaker? Should I install that other game? What? Hi AMD, we love you. We're an AMD Red Team member. Hello. Mwah. We're just going over the state of play, what we thought, what's going on. Also, I think one of the things I really didn't like was the PlayStation VR. Like, there was like 14 minutes of that, and I'm like, oh, I'm not really living for that. Thank you, AMD. Love you so much. Thank you. Redfall? Yeah, you should get it. You can hopefully play. I don't know what's happening, but it changes by the day. So, you know, we'll see what happens. I was saving my money and playing Tears of the Kingdom for the next 30 years. I agree. Oh, this looks fun. This looks good. But a lot of these I'm like, are they gonna release on PC and like stuff? Like, because I don't have a PS5. Like, I want a PS5. I don't have a PS5. I only have, ironically enough, my AMD computer provided by AMD because we love AMD. But like, I have a Wii. I don't have a PS5, girl. So a lot of this is like, we're just watching. What should we rate this? I would rate this presentation, I would say, I think a solid 7, like 6.8. I would say. Oh. I just think there's been worse. Like, seriously, there's been worse. I remember the one we did, the last State of Play we did, it was a 20-minute show with like 2 games, and we were so disappointed. Like, I remember being so gagged. We were so gagged. And I think it was like at 10 in the morning. We were so bothered. We should do a tier list of State of Play presentations and Nintendo Directs. Someone make a tier list and put all of my thumbnails in that tier list. But yeah, solid, I guess. I don't know. I'm not really thrilled by anything in here, so. I would have loved an Ape Escape game or a retro game. But we do have summer games. Do we know the summer games schedule yet? Is it multiple days or just one day? You know, I guess we'll find out, won't we? The direct where they announced the DLC. I don't even remember when that was, but I was probably really happy. When they made content for Animal Crossing, and now they just hate us. I know, I don't get it. The way they just continue to do